It was July of 2005. And I remember looking up one morning, early one morning, as I woke up and just staring at the mosquito net. And I remember after a restless night of waking up and dealing with so many emotions, it wasn't restless only because of the heat, but it was also because I knew that was to be my last day of living in Southern Sudan. We loved the people so deeply, but because of some heart damage, I had to leave. We had been there in those 2 years and seen a number of Westerners who had come and then who had gone. And in those 2 years, we'd realized there was really some sort of grave problem with the approach that many Western organizations were taking when the Western missionaries weren't able to stay in Sudan long. I remember driving away, and I remember the tears in my eyes as the people came to wave and tell us goodbye. I remember asking why. I remember asking the Lord why. With tears in my eyes, I could barely see down that dirt road, and I asked him why he was taking us away. And I remember the sense that God was at work doing something much, much bigger than I could even fathom. And I remember the conviction that the real answer to Southern Sudan had to be Southern Sudanese themselves. The real answer had to be indigenous leadership.
So I got a call from Peter Swan at Aid Sudan, and he began to tell me a little bit about this project that they were beginning at Aid Sudan, where they were going to train Southern Sudanese guys to go back to Southern Sudan as missionaries. And I thought, that's really intriguing. And then I got this invitation to actually come and direct the program. I thought, wow, I want to be a part of something like this.
As David came on and joined our team, we began to take applications from Southern Sudanese, and many questioned us. They wondered how many Southern Sudanese would really want to leave the States and go back to Southern Sudan, but we were inundated with applications.
And we began to call missionaries and began the training. It was an exciting time. When we took them over for the first time to Southern Sudan, I feel like I got a confirmation from God that this was a little bit bigger than what we had even realized. We were sitting on a compound in Southern Sudan with some of the church leaders, and we told them it was about Southern Sudanese guys who'd been displaced in the United States going back as missionaries to their people in Southern Sudan. And I was basically stopped by one of the Southern Sudanese church leaders named Thomas, and he said, wait, this was our idea long before it was your idea. And he began to tell me that back when they were all in the refugee camp in Kakuma in northern Kenya, when they knew that many of the, quote, lost boys were going to be sent to the United States, some of the leaders of that group, Thomas being one of them, told them, don't forget where you came from. Come back and bring what it is that you have found there in the place where God's taking you. And that was a final confirmation really for me that we're on the right track, and God had this in his heart long ago.
We began to ask ourselves what we should call this project. And we kept going back to the person of Moses in the Old Testament. He left Egypt, he went to the land of Midian, and there in that land, God appeared to him in a burning bush experience. He called him to go back to his people and lead his people out of bondage. In the same way, these Southern Sudanese missionaries are called to leave the States and go back to their people in Southern Sudan and lead them out of spiritual bondage. We believe that these missionaries are to be leaders of their people through the Moses Project.